Hi everyone, I'm Avi. I'm a developer advocate from Sparkpost, and yeah, so going to be doing a little demo on interactive email. So I started working at Sparkpost around a year ago, and I've kind of gotten obsessed with interactive email and doing more in the email inbox than what people usually think about. Email is usually thought about as like kind of like the 90s of like web development, right? Like you write everything in tables and you inline your styles. But there's been a lot of kind of movement towards more powerful stuff, and there's some fun stuff you can do. So I built a little demo here. Right before I came up, I fired off an email to my Sparkpost account, got a random ID generated for me on the end of my local part, and we can see that email came through. So I kind of want to focus on forms in email. Normally, when you do a form in an email, you usually just link out, or sometimes you'll see like some form come through and it will say, you know, select your rating 1 through 10, and you click it, and then it takes you to a web form and you fill it out normally. So what I did here is using some CSS hacks and same concepts around open tracking, we're actually able to do a form entirely in an email. So as I click submit, if it all works, we can see that, you know, I didn't have to leave the email client, and that all came in through. Which I think is pretty cool. So the way that works is there's CSS selectors for checkboxes and their siblings. So what you do is you just target a checkbox and you target the label next to it. And so when you have that selected, you render some image, and then that image gets loaded, you record that on the server, that image has a specific ID, and you're able to tie it all back into that form. The problem with this, as opposed to regular forms, is that you're not really able to do any text stuff. So the solution around that is Sparkpost has some inbound mail functionality. You can receive emails and kind of parse those and do what you want with them. So I set the references header in the email that I fired off here with that specific ID. So if it all works correctly, I should be able to say, hi, SF, HTML5, send that off. And there we go. So that was all, you know, that came back in, was tied back in. So we were able to do an entire form without actually having the person leave an email client, and, you know, no JavaScript needed. And that was an actual email. So that is the majority of that demonstration. I've got another thing to pull up here. It's hopefully I don't have to dig through my trash. Well, that's unfortunate. I'm blanking. Okay, here it is. I have it open, great. So I'm just gonna show this in my browser instead of trying to trigger that off. Here's a little walkthrough on how that works. So we have an input, tie in that label. This is focusing on making a button that when you click it, shows some content. And, you know, with the idea of magic content, add in some CSS for hiding it unless it's next to a checkbox, and we're able to do that, make it look like a button, and we're in good shape. And so that's kind of how you drive interactivity through an email. Personally, I'm really passionate about that, so if you want to talk more about that, hit me up on Twitter or find me at the booth, and yeah, thank you.